Welcome back, fellow folklorists, to GRIMM, Digital Folklore, where GRIMM and I take a look at the influences and origins of folklore in video games. Today, we'll be taking our first look at a different game, Sea of Thieves. For those of you unfamiliar, Sea of Thieves is a beautiful game by Rare, in which players take on the role of pirates who sail the titular Sea of Thieves in search of treasure and adventure. As such, this game is full of the kind of folklore that was popular during the golden age of piracy. Lost treasures, ghost ships manned by skeleton crews, and terrifying sea monsters abound in this game, and I can think of no better way to start our voyage than by looking at the granddaddy, or would that be old mother, of all sea monsters. That's right, our focus this time is none other than the legendary Kraken. So let's get Kraken and hunt one of these beasts down, shall we? No signs of the beast so far, but I don't suppose mythical beasts are supposed to be easy to find in the first place. No worries, I'm sure the beast will show itself in time. Seems just sailing through open waters isn't going to be enough to find the beast either. Guess we need to bait the hook, so to speak. Fortunately, I happen to know that Krakens are much more likely to attack after successfully clearing a fort, so it's time to fight some skellies. This is like the 5th skeleton fort I've cleared, and I've still not seen hide nor hair of the beast. I better see what everyone else has to say about hunting it down. What? Please nerf spawn rate. Kraken spawns too often? Attacked by Kraken after every fort? How? I've been trying to find the blasted thing for 3 days and I haven't even seen it once. Captain's log. I've lost track of how long I spent trying to hunt down this beast. I fear that the Kraken has become my white whale. Am I cursed to sail forever in search of it? Wait. Kraken spotted. At last. Prepare yourself, beast, to face my— No! Where is it? There you are, you scourge of the sea. Out of my way, this beast and I have a score to settle. From hell's heart I stab at thee! Well, now that I've managed to encounter the beast and return with at least some of my sanity still intact, let's recap everything we know of the beast, shall we? We know from the game that there are, or were, actually multiple Krakens in the Sea of Thieves. These beasts are all descended from the original Kraken, a gigantic monster that was known only as the Old Mother. Fortunately for the pirates on the Sea of Thieves though, the Old Mother herself was defeated and chained long before the events in-game, protecting the seas from her wrath. However, her offspring were a different story, and judging from the large amount of Kraken skeletons that can be spotted all over, they were quite numerous. There is some debate over how many Kraken are left by this point, but one thing is certain. There is at least one Kraken left, and it is determined to bring down as many ships as it can. That said, let's use this chance to take a closer look at a Kraken attack and what that entails. The first sign of an attack is the water around your ship turning an inky black. This works both as camouflage for the Kraken's body and seems to slow one's ship. Soon after, a number of tentacles emerge from the inky water and begin to attack any ships inside the Kraken's attack radius. These tentacles are capable of slamming into ships, sucking up hapless pirates, and even forcibly holding one ship in place. Fortunately, crews that are quick on their feet and a steady shot can repel the beast and even reap the rewards as the Kraken flees. Unfortunately though, the Kraken's ink can make it hard for us to discern much else about the beast, but we should have enough info to compare it to the Kraken of myth. Stories of the mythical Kraken are quite old, with the first documented description occurring around the 12th century. However, given some of the connections between the Kraken and the sea monsters Scylla and Charybdis, it could be argued that the myth involves some of the earliest descriptions of sea monsters themselves. Nevertheless, most of the accounts of Kraken are European in origin, with a specific focus on the Nordic regions. The name Kraken is even derived from the Norwegian and Swedish word krak, which is used to represent something crooked or wretched, though the word is also used in German to now mean octopus. Originally though, the beast was called the Hafgufa, meaning sea mist, and the earliest accounts suggested that there were only 2 in the entire ocean and that they were incapable of reproducing. It also mentioned that they had a strange way of hunting, by either vomiting or defecating to draw in other fish. Strangely enough, while the accounts of the Kraken changed over time, that particular trait is one of the few that persisted. Alongside this strange trait, there are quite a few key traits which seem to persist over the years. The first of these traits is that the appearance of a Kraken is preceded by large amounts of fish rising to the surface just before the beast itself surfaces. Some accounts even claim that daring Norse fishermen would search for the Kraken just to risk catching the bounty of fish that accompany it. The next trait is that the body of the Kraken, if it appears, will be large enough to be mistaken for an island. Sailors are even said to have been drowned when the island they were camping on came to life, though this trait seems to be commonly attributed to a number of sea monsters, not just the Kraken. The last common trait in Kraken sightings is that the beast is so large that it creates a whirlpool as it sinks back below the waves, with many accounts claiming that the whirlpool itself is actually the largest threat to any ships that happen to be near a surfacing Kraken. You may have noticed that there are some traits that are usually associated with the Kraken that I didn't mention. Namely, that the Kraken is a squid or octopus-like monster, and that it had a tendency to attack ships. These are definitely traits that have been associated with the beast over time, but they are not common in the majority of historical Kraken accounts. In fact, the Kraken's appearance was originally described to be something that more closely seemed to resemble a giant crab-like creature with spindly appendages, or perhaps a gigantic whale with its massive girth, before the story started to describe a squid-like beast instead. As for the Kraken's aggression toward ships, while accounts of the Kraken warn of the dangers of getting too close, usually these dangers are related to the Kraken's massive size instead of a direct attack. If that's the case though, then why does the Kraken we know of today so commonly get represented as a ship-hungry squid or octopus, and why does the description match up so poorly with the depiction of it in-game? Well, the majority of the tales that represent this side of the Kraken myth are actually much more recent historically. This indicates that the myth may have changed over time as Kraken sightings got confused and mixed with other sea monster sightings until it became established in the form that we know of today. In fact, many of these details in more recent accounts actually seem to better describe a different monster that is even more bloodthirsty, and unlike the Kraken which prefers Arctic waters, this one will be right at home in the Caribbean and the Sea of Thieves. The Lusca is a mythical beast of tropical origin that is frequently spotted around the many blue holes of the Caribbean, in particular the island of Andros. The description of the beast can vary greatly depending on the account, but the prevailing image of the Lusca is one of a half-shark, half-octopus that has the giant toothy maw of a shark and the tentacles of an octopus, with serrated suction cups that can tear away at a ship's hull. In fact, many accounts of attacks by Kraken in tropical regions more closely resemble this description, which seems more in line with a gigantic octopus than a giant squid. There are even accounts of similar beasts attacking ships off the African coast. Location aside, it's definitely a description that better fits with the image of the Kraken that we see in-game. If you look at the concept art of the Kraken, you can see it is more than a little reminiscent of a Lusca. It also explains why there are so many Kraken skeletons and remains littering the Sea of Thieves, since the Lusca is a beast that isn't a true cephalopod like a squid or octopus, which wouldn't have a skeleton. The biggest difference between the Lusca and the Kraken, though, is that the Lusca is almost always portrayed as a vicious, hungry beast that has ripped apart ships and dragged its victims to their death. Using the cavernous blue holes as its den, it is quick to launch attacks from within and drag its prey back into the caves where it has little chance of escaping. Many ships even choose to go silent around the blue holes for fear of waking the beast that may sleep within. Even those who avoid the water entirely aren't completely safe from the Lusca though, as it is said to have even used tentacles to snare local beachgoers and drag them down into the depths below. Compared to the Lusca, a Kraken almost seems tame in comparison. Of course, unlike in the Sea of Thieves where sea monsters are a common sight, we now know that many descriptions of the Kraken actually describe sightings of giant squids or other natural phenomenon such as underwater volcanic activity. It's even thought that the Kraken's strange method of hunting was actually based off of giant squid using their ink as a smokescreen as opposed to luring in prey. We even have accounts of giant squid in recent years that have attacked ships preemptively after mistaking them for their natural predator, the sperm whale. In this same way, the Lusca is said to be either some yet undiscovered species of colossal octopus, or it is a beast that was created as a way to explain the dangerous sailing conditions that can occur around blue holes. The town of St Augustine, Florida may have even found the carcass of such a specimen, now famously known as the St Augustine Globst, when it was discovered washed up on the beach in 1896. Either way, if the beast stalking the Caribbean is real, I doubt it cares little whether it is called a Kraken or a Lusca. After all, a beast by any other name is just as deadly. Well, that wraps up our coverage on the Kraken and the Sea of Thieves. I hope you all enjoyed this look into some of the folklore behind the golden age of piracy, and if so, please be sure to let me know in the comments below so I can cover more topics like this in the future. I have a few more videos planned for the month of October with a special focus on monsters and spirits, so be sure to like and subscribe or follow me on Twitter so you can stay up to date when the next video comes out. Until then, fellow— Oh, come on!